Have you ever seen a room full of experts fail at something that one ordinary person solved in minutes? Imagine being laughed at, judged, and underestimated your whole life, only to prove everyone wrong when it mattered most. This is the story of a billionaire CEO, a broken private jet, a $1 million challenge, and a struggling single dad whose kindness changed everything. Stay with me until the end, because this story is not just about success. It is about respect, compassion, and the power of believing in people when no one else does. Before we begin, if you enjoy heartwarming stories that inspire kindness and hope, please take a moment to subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment below. Tell us where you're watching from. Welcome to Heart Kindness Tales, where every story reminds us that kindness can change lives. The large aircraft hangar was buzzing with tension. Mechanics, engineers, and aviation experts stood around a sleek private jet worth over $50 million. The jet belonged to Victoria Hayes, a billionaire CEO known across America for her business empire and sharp personality. For 3 days, the jet had refused to start properly. Every expert hired to fix it had failed. The aircraft was supposed to take Victoria to an important international meeting, but now it sat useless in the middle of the hangar. Frustrated and angry, Victoria stepped forward and made an announcement. "I'll pay $1 million to anyone who can fix this jet today." The crowd gasped. $1 million. Dozens of technicians immediately rushed toward the aircraft. Some checked the engines. Others connected computers and diagnostic tools. Hours passed. Nothing worked. As the day dragged on, Victoria became more irritated. The experts were running out of ideas. Near the back of the hangar stood a man named Daniel Carter. Daniel was a single father raising his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. Life had not been easy for them. After losing his wife years earlier, Daniel worked multiple jobs to provide for his little girl. That afternoon, he wasn't even supposed to be there. He had come to deliver equipment for a small maintenance company that occasionally worked at the airport. Lily was with him because school was closed for the day. As Daniel watched the activity around the jet, he noticed something unusual. He quietly observed the technicians moving from one expensive system to another. Then he noticed a tiny detail everyone seemed to be ignoring. Lily tugged on his sleeve. "Dad, do you think you could fix it?" Daniel smiled. "Probably not, sweetheart." But deep down, he wasn't so sure. Years ago, Daniel had worked as an aircraft mechanic before family responsibilities forced him into different jobs. He still remembered many things. After another hour of failed attempts, Victoria looked ready to explode. "No one here knows what they're doing," she shouted. The room fell silent. Daniel hesitated. Then Lily squeezed his hand. "You should help them, Dad." Daniel took a deep breath and walked forward. The crowd immediately looked at him. Some mechanics exchanged amused smiles. Victoria crossed her arms. "And who are you?" "Just someone who used to work on aircraft," Daniel replied politely. Several people laughed. One engineer smirked. "We've got specialists from top aviation companies here, and this guy thinks he can solve it?" The laughter spread through the hangar. Daniel felt embarrassed. But before he could walk away, Lily spoke up. "My dad is really smart." The room became quiet. Victoria looked at the little girl holding a teddy bear. For a moment, something softened in her expression. "Fine," she said. "You have 4 minutes." Daniel nodded. He walked toward the aircraft and carefully examined one section near an electronic access panel. He listened. He watched. Then he opened a small compartment. Within seconds, he found what everyone had missed. A damaged connector wire had loosened slightly during a recent maintenance procedure. The problem wasn't complicated. It was simply hidden. Daniel secured the connection, checked the system, and stepped back. "Try it now." One technician rolled his eyes and pressed the startup sequence. Suddenly, the jet systems came alive. Lights flashed. Displays activated. The engines responded perfectly. The entire hangar froze. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. Then cheers erupted from every corner of the building. People stared at Daniel in disbelief. Victoria looked shocked. 3 days. Dozens of experts. Millions of dollars in equipment. And one single dad had solved the problem in less than 4 minutes. Victoria slowly walked toward him. "You fixed it." Daniel nodded. It wasn't a major issue. Everyone was looking for a complicated problem. The billionaire stood silently. For the first time all day, she seemed humble. Then she turned to her assistant. "Write him a check for $1 million. The crowd applauded. But Daniel surprised everyone. He looked at the check and shook his head. "I don't need that much." Victoria blinked. "What?" Daniel smiled gently. "Give me enough to take care of my daughter and pay some bills. Use the rest to help families who are struggling." The room became completely silent again. This time, nobody was laughing. Victoria stared at him. She had spent years surrounded by people chasing money, status, and power. Yet this man, who clearly needed financial help, was thinking about others. For reasons she couldn't explain, Daniel's words touched her deeply. "Why would you do that?" she asked. Daniel looked at Lily. "Because kindness helped me survive the hardest years of my life. When my wife passed away, strangers helped us. Neighbors brought food. Friends watched my daughter when I had to work. I wouldn't be standing here without them." Victoria looked away for a moment. She suddenly remembered her own childhood. Long before becoming a billionaire, she had grown up in a small apartment with parents who struggled financially. Somewhere along the way, success had made her forget the value of simple human kindness. Daniel had reminded her. The next morning, Victoria made a decision that surprised everyone. She created a charitable foundation dedicated to helping single parents find housing, childcare, and career training. She personally funded the organization with several $1 million. Then she called Daniel. "I have another offer." Daniel smiled nervously. "I'm not interested in becoming a millionaire celebrity." Victoria laughed. "Good. Because that's not the offer." She invited him to become an advisor for the foundation. Someone who understood real struggles. Someone who cared about people. Someone who valued kindness more than money. Daniel accepted. Over the years, thousands of families benefited from the programs they created together. Parents found jobs. Children received support. Families discovered hope during difficult times. And it all started because one man chose to help when everyone else was focused on proving themselves right. The lesson is simple. Never underestimate someone because of their appearance, their job title, or their circumstances. The quiet person in the corner may hold the answer everyone is searching for. And kindness often creates opportunities that money never can. A billionaire learned humility. A single father found a new purpose. And countless families received help because one act of kindness inspired another. So the next time you have the chance to encourage someone, listen to someone, or help someone, take it. You never know how far that kindness might travel. Thank you for spending this time with Heart Kindness Tales. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share it with someone who needs a little inspiration today. Remember, kindness costs nothing, but it can change everything. The following weeks changed Daniel Carter's life in ways he never imagined. News of the mysterious single father who fixed a billionaire's jet in 4 minutes spread across the country. Television stations wanted interviews. Newspapers wanted his story. Social media users called him the 4-minute genius. But Daniel wasn't interested in fame. Every morning, he still woke up early, made breakfast for Lily, and walked her to school. He still believed that being a good father was more important than being famous. One afternoon, Victoria Hayes invited Daniel and Lily to visit her corporate headquarters. The building was enormous. Glass walls stretched toward the sky, and hundreds of employees moved through the lobby. Lily's eyes widened. "Dad, this place is bigger than my whole school." Daniel laughed. "I think you're right." Victoria personally greeted them at the entrance. For the first time, she wasn't dressed like a powerful billionaire CEO. She looked relaxed and friendly. As they walked through the building, employees stopped to shake Daniel's hand. Many had heard about what happened at the airport. But Victoria noticed something else. Every person Daniel met left the conversation smiling. He treated the security guards with the same respect he showed executives. He thanked receptionists. He listened when people spoke. Kindness seemed natural to him. Later that day, Victoria showed Daniel the plans for the new foundation. The goal was simple: help struggling single parents get back on their feet. Daniel studied the proposal carefully. "It's impressive," he said. Victoria smiled. "It was your idea." Daniel looked confused. "My idea? You asked me to help families instead of giving you all that money. Without you, none of this would exist." At that moment, Lily noticed a woman sitting alone in a waiting area. She looked worried and exhausted. Lily quietly walked over and handed the woman her favorite teddy bear. "You can hold him if you're sad," Lily said. The woman looked surprised. Then tears filled her eyes. "Thank you." From across the room, Victoria watched the interaction. The little girl expected nothing in return. She simply saw someone hurting and wanted to help. Victoria suddenly understood something important. Kindness wasn't something Daniel taught Lily. It was something she witnessed every day. A few months later, the foundation officially opened. Hundreds of struggling parents applied for assistance. Among them was a woman named Sarah. She had recently lost her job and was living in her car with her young son. When Daniel met her, he remembered his own difficult years. Instead of treating her like a case number, he listened. Really listened. The foundation helped Sarah find temporary housing, childcare, and employment training. 6 months later, she returned with exciting news. She had a stable job, an apartment, and enough savings to support her son. Fighting back tears, she hugged Daniel. "You gave me hope when I had none." Daniel smiled. "No. You did the hard work. We just gave you a chance." Stories like Sarah's became common. One family became 10. 10 became 100. Soon, thousands of lives were being transformed. Meanwhile, Victoria herself began changing. She spent less time chasing business awards and more time visiting community programs. She listened to families. She learned their stories. For the first time in years, success felt meaningful. One evening, she sat with Daniel outside a community center after a long day. The sun was setting. Children laughed nearby. Victoria looked thoughtful. "Can I tell you something?" "Of course," Daniel replied. She stared toward the horizon. "The day you fixed my jet, I thought you gave me a solution to a mechanical problem." Daniel smiled. "And?" Victoria laughed softly. "You actually fixed something much bigger." Daniel looked puzzled. "What do you mean?" "I had forgotten what matters." For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Victoria continued. "I spent years believing money solved everything. But you showed me that people matter more than profits." Daniel nodded. "My wife used to say something similar." "What was that?" He smiled. "Kindness is the one investment that never loses value." Victoria sat quietly. The words stayed with her. Years later, the foundation became one of the most respected charitable organizations in the country. Thousands of single parents found jobs. Thousands of children found stability. And every success story could be traced back to one simple moment inside an aircraft hangar. A moment when a little girl encouraged her father to step forward. A moment when someone chose to help instead of staying silent. A moment when kindness proved more powerful than pride. Daniel never became the richest man in America. Victoria never stopped being successful. But together, they discovered something far more valuable. True wealth isn't measured by what you keep. It's measured by how many lives you touch. And sometimes, the smallest act of kindness can create a ripple that changes the world. So if you're watching this today, remember Daniel and Lily. Never underestimate yourself. Never judge others too quickly. And never miss an opportunity to be kind. Because one kind act, one helping hand, or one encouraging word may become the beginning of someone else's miracle. And that's how a billionaire's broken jet led to thousands of lives being changed forever. Red Heart.